وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilman, Allahumma faqihna fiddin. Welcome everybody to the first ever youth talk show brought to you by IICT, the Istiqlal Islamic Center of Toronto. I hope all of you guys are excited. I'm sure I am. Hopefully, inshallah, this will be the first installment of many to come. Inshallah, everything goes well today. Before we start, I'll have my co-host here, Bang Abdul Rashid Satria here. Inshallah, he will be reciting Surah Tawbah from ayat 17 to 22. So whenever you're ready, please go on ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ما كان للمشركين أن يعمروا مساجد الله شاهدين على أنفسهم بالكفر أولئك حبطت أعمالهم وفي النار هم خالدون إنما يعمر مساجد الله من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة ولم يخش إلا الله فعسى أولئك أن يكونوا من المهتدين أجعلتم سقاية الحاج وعمارة المسجد الحرام كمن آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وجاهد في سبيل الله لا يستوون عند الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين الذين آمنوا وهاجروا وجاهدوا في سبيل الله بأموالهم وأنفسهم أعظم درجة عند الله وأولئك هم الفائزون يبشرهم ربهم برحمة منه ورضوان وجنات لهم فيها نعيم مقيم خالدين فيها أبدا إن الله عنده أجر عظيم. It is not for such as join gods with Allah to visit or maintain the mosques of Allah while they witness against their own souls to infidelity. The works of such bear no fruit, in fire shall they dwell. The mosques of Allah shall be visited and maintained by such as believe in Allah and the last day. Establish regular prayers and practice regular charity and fear none at all except Allah. It is they who are accepted to be on true guidance. Do ye make the giving of drink to pilgrims or the maintenance of the sacred mosque equal to the pious service of those who believe in Allah and the last day, and strive with might and main in the cause of Allah? They are not comparable in the sight of Allah, and Allah guides not those who do wrong. Those who believe and suffer exile and strive with might and main in Allah's cause with their goods and their persons have the highest rank in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are the people who will achieve salvation. Their Lord doth give them glad tidings of a mercy for himself, of his good pleasure, and of gardens for them, wherein are delights that endure. They will dwell therein forever. Verily, in Allah's presence is a reward, the great of all. Sadaqallahul Azim.
Oh, mashallah, Abdul Rashid. Thank you so much for that. Alhamdulillah, we have such a soleh in our youth team. Okay, I gotta mention though, before we begin before we continue, this guy Abdul Rashid, this guy's so humble. He'll never say this himself. In fact, like when we were in Muktamar, when we were talking, he was like, Akma, please keep it low key. Don't tell people I'm a Hafiz, man. Don't tell people I'm a Hafiz. I was like, okay, come on, man. Okay, we're here in this youth talk show, right? We're trying to inspire the youth, right? We're trying to be role models. So I'm just gonna mention, and you're never gonna hear from him. This guy's a Hafiz, studying for 4 years. In or four more?
Two and a half.
2.5, only 2.5, 3 years. You're Hafiz in boarding school. What was the school called?
Darul Ulum.
Darul Ulum. Wow. Yeah, mashallah. That's actually so impressive. Like, mashallah, man. Mashallah, man. Yeah, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there though.
No, but first of all, Akma here.
Nah, okay. Yeah.
It's the University of Waterloo, mashallah. For those who don't know, in Canada it's tough, mashallah. But I look, he's like my big brother, so I always look up to him. So
appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. No, it's for real. Okay, enough about ourselves, man. I know. We're both very distinguished gentlemen, mashallah, right? But we have a very important guest here. The reason why most of you guys are here today is I'm sure you guys have all seen the poster, the flyer. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to get the code. Anyways, brother Bang Muhammad Zaki is here with us today, and I think Abdul Rashid, I think we met him at Muktamar, right?
Yeah,
we saw him there. We were trying to get our hotel, our cards or something.
Yeah.
This guy's like what, 6 feet, big head of hair, afro. You can't miss this guy. You can't miss
him, man.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if he remembers meeting us because I'm low-key. I'm like in there. I'm in that area. I don't know. Do you remember meeting us, Bang Zaki? Do you remember? Are you there?
Bro. First of all, you're tripping. I'm not 6 feet, bro.
It feels like you're 6 feet amongst Indos.
It looks like it, man.
I'm not.
Just because I'm half black, that doesn't mean I got the height.
No.
I got the height from my mom. You know what
I
I'm saying? I got the hair from my dad.
Okay, that hair is beautiful though. I just
beautiful
got
hair. Beautiful hair,
mashallah,
bro.
No, but like for sure, Akma, I definitely remember. Meeting you up there, bro. Honestly, I don't remember.
Come on, bro.
No cap, bro. Like honestly, I don't remember. I mean, it was like really random, right? Because like you said, we were in line getting ready to be checked in. And apparently I was in the wrong line, because I signed up as an individual. You were signed up in family, right? So I was in the family line, but I didn't know, like they didn't explain it, clear enough. So I was waiting in line for like 30 minutes and they said, oh no, you got to go to the other
I feel like that was meant to be, man. If you didn't make that mistake, we never would have met, right? So I feel like that was meant to be. Like we saw each other there. So it's good that we're all here talking like after that. So I feel like this is an amazing opportunity, man. I appreciate that.
But then like also like because my mom, knows your mom, right? And your parents, right? So like before I went to Muktamar, my mom was like, you need to look for Tanta Enda, you have to make sure you see her. I was all like, I don't know if I'll find her because all the Ibo's all gonna look the same. To be honestly, I'll have no idea.
To be honest,
I just told my mom, look, if you message her, just tell her to look for me because I'm like you can't miss me. I was literally the only guy with the afro there, so you can't miss me.
It's on us. It's on our responsibility. No, but I think she said that. I think I met you when I was like 2 years old or really young. But to be honest, I don't remember. Apparently in Arizona.
I was like definitely we were like young.
Yeah, no,
like,
I don't think I was conscious back then, to be honest. I was that young.
yeah, I
No,
don't know
but anyways,
either.
we both, Abdurrashid and I, and everyone else here, we really appreciate you taking your time to be with us here today. Because I know you're a busy man, right? You're a busy man. I'm not gonna lie, because when we were meeting beforehand, before starting this, you're like, okay, I'm free in exactly this time slot, 8 to 9. Other than that, I've got 3 janazas to attend to. Okay. I think in every meeting you're always in the car. You're that busy. You're always on the move. This guy, you have so many, but I appreciate you taking the time here, though.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's all
thank
good.
you, man.
I appreciate it. Like just as for you guys to
Mm,
see this, like as
mm.
to see it as an opportunity, like, well, yeah, I really appreciate it.
I
Just
appreciate you for you
No,
coming through in
exactly.
this
Appreciate you,
Zoom.
man.
So
Okay, I guess
thank
before we
you.
go on, let's for the people who don't know Muhammad Zaki and brother Abang Muhammad Zaki and his credentials, he's one of the youngest board of director members in like North America. He's like one of the youngest member. If you don't mind me asking, Bang Zaki, how old are you exactly?
22.
He's 22 years old. Okay, he's 22 and he's like board of directors. Like people get that role when they're like, they're well like experienced and older, but he's taking a stand and it's actually really inspiring. Like it's mad inspiring, especially for youth like Abdul Rashid and I, like watching this, like it just inspires a lot. So let me just begin by giving everybody like his biography. To be honest, I tried memorizing it, but you have so many experiences. I don't want to. I don't want to mess you up. I want to do you your justice, right? So here's your biography. So he's a recent college graduate. He has a bachelor's in retail and consumer science in the University of Arizona. He's currently, as I said, the board of director at the Islamic Center of Tucson and is one of the youngest to ever serve as a board of directors member. So he serves as the outreach and the Janaza director, along with being a khatib for his local community. And he's currently the vice president of the VP of the Indonesian Muslim Youth of Arizona. So as you can see, guys, this guy, 22 years old, lots of experience, and I'm sure everybody here would love to hear his input on like a bunch of stuff for us youth here living in the West. So yeah, man, like I really appreciate it, man. So let's just jump right into it. Yeah. I hope you're all chilled. Like this is gonna be relaxed, right? It's like a podcast.
Relax.
To
Yeah,
be honest,
chill.
he's wearing a pechy, a whole. You guys are wearing formal clothes. I'm wearing a
Yeah,
hoodie right now, and he's wearing a normal.
you got pull up right.
I get it.
What I'm
Yeah,
saying?
man.
Like,
Honestly, man, I expect like this is chill. This is literally what I wear on a daily basis, and this is chill podcast.
My
So,
mom
like,
told me to wear the topi, so
yeah, no,
I look,
no, I
you
just
gotta
like
look clean, man.
yeah,
Come
mashallah.
on.
I should have put more effort. I'm wearing headphones right now. Like it feels so casual, but not for real. Like hopefully, like no nerves, man. No nerves. Keep it down. Keep it down. Nah, but for real though. All right, let's just jump right there. Like right, because I have some questions for you, Bang Zaki, right? And one of the things I was wondering, for someone like you, as young as you, um, was there a particular moment in your life where you decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go and get active and do a bunch of stuff? Like, was there a moment, or was it just like a random thing?
honestly, I want to say it was random um, because I was a college student, right? And I grew up here in my local community. Like the masjid that I'm in right now, it was also a school. So it was a full-time Islamic school. And with that, I always felt comfortable here. So when I went to the university, I didn't know what to do in my free time. So I just like came back to what I know the best. I came back to the masjid, and I it was comfortable. And then from there, one brother just, he was the manager. He said, when you're free, can you have some time to like help out? Just spend some time here and just help out around the office and around. I was like, sure, why not? I don't know what else to do. So like it was definitely random. Like if you were to tell me when I was younger that I would be doing all of this, I'd probably like laugh at you. I would have no idea, honestly. I like it's obvious that I never planned for it, right? This was definitely the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like I never thought of it to be in this position, to have this type of duties, so I want to say it was completely random. It was never my thought. That's for sure.
So you just went with the flow, I guess, and you just kind of winged it. Did you have any prior experience or anything, or you just, you know what, I'm just gonna go do it and see what happens? Like,
No,
Mm.
no
no
experience,
experience at
no
all.
experience at all. Yeah.
Mashallah.
That's actually mad impressive. Like, I feel like a lot of people, they get nervous in that scenario, right? I feel like when he asked you to help, was there like because there's no way that out of nowhere they just ask, oh, you want to be a board of director? Like, no, I feel like if you help out for it, was it like instantly, or like what was
It
there?
took time, I just like when I was in class, or when I didn't have classes, I was here at the masjid and helping out in the office. And then it was probably like within my second, like my sophomore year, I think. That's when I really started to get to know the community even more, become like a little bit more active. Like I wasn't like, I'm not saying like I was full on active, but like people were starting to like recognize who I was because I was always in the office helping out. Like people like they knew my name or they've seen me before, but like they didn't know who exactly I was. So I just kind of like, start like, around sophomore year, maybe more junior year. That's when I became like really like, I guess more active, like really helping out, becoming, hands-on. Like having this responsibility, I never thought of it. It's just I just helped out whenever I could, in my free time.
So for the first time when you started like running the masjid, like can you share us like the first problem? Like for sure there's problems, right? Like maybe an interesting story you can share with us, if there's any.
Surely it wasn't like a
Sure.
smooth slope, right? It's not like
Yeah. There's
all the way up,
there's always
boom,
like
to the board of director status.
Yeah. There's always
Anything at all.
obstacles, anything like.
I think it's frozen
there's
there.
always the obstacles like. Oh, did I freeze?
Yeah, you're good now. You're good.
Okay. You're good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. A good obstacle. I'm not sure, honestly. Well, yeah. Honestly, I don't know. Like, I can't think of it right now.
Man, this guy's perfect. This guy just
Wow.
No. No such thing. I mean, one time, like when COVID like really hit, there were like the masjid, like a lot of masjids were shut down, right? And previous administration, they were like thinking, to start reopen, have like 2 Jama salas. And right there, like they asked like who would like be willing to like take charge of it, because they weren't going to be here all the time. They needed somebody like kind of fixed to be here. So I was all like, yeah, why not? I can do it, And from there, like I was coming here like around 11 a.m., staying until 2, running both Jumu'ah sessions, like, just checking people in at the doors, doing the paperwork so then they can come in. And then like one time, like I announced that I'll be closing the masjid at 2 p.m. because like I had to go, I had work after. And one brother, he got upset, he's all like, whoever said that, to tell you to close at 2, tell them to come here and say that, he went off on me. And I'm not the person, like, I don't get into fights, I'm not like I'm not all about that yelling match, screaming match. I'm not with that, it's not me. And he was yelling at me. I was like, okay, I was just like, I just kept calm, and then somebody intervened. He was like, don't yell at him. Don't you ever do that again. He's like, my son, don't ever do that. And then since then, like that person, like he kind of like stepped away, and I let the administration know. So like, we always have to like take heat sometimes, even though like it's not necessary, but like you just have to, because like people don't want to like follow the rules, and you're there, and I was like, I was the face pretty much, because everybody knew I was in charge, and I never intended to be in charge. Of be like, okay, I'll do it for a little bit, but then after it just didn't work like that. I ended up being, kind of like long term and helping out, which is fine, but like I need more help. But yeah, I had an interaction with that person, and then it wasn't that was probably one main obstacle. He's like, why'd you do that? Well, like I told him, I have places to go, like, yes, I love the masjid, but like I need to go to work after, I have people that are waiting, for me. Like, I guess that's one obstacle that I could like think of. And it was kind of recent also.
Yeah. You kept saying like you were busy, right? You have classes to attend. You have so many things to worry about. And I guess for us youth, we're thinking about a lot of things, a lot of aspirations, right? A lot of things we want to do. And I see that you're kind of balancing a lot of things. And I'm just curious, how do you exactly like how do you manage everything? Do you prioritize certain things? Or do you exactly block it day by day, like in a Google Calendar, or do you just really go with the flow? I'm curious to see.
Honestly, I would just like go with the flow. It would depend on like what the situation is. Like before, like if there was like a janaza, for example, like I would skip class, you know, to go to the janaza, because like I know sometimes like there isn't like a lot of people there, and you know, I'd rather do that than be in class, you know, because I don't want to be in class anyway. You know, who wants to go to class? Like honestly, you know, college, like it's college, like yeah, you know, you
As
go
long as you
later.
pass,
You know,
right?
everything's all online. Yeah, you know, but I mean, sometimes I would skip class. You know, like it was not on purpose or anything. I mean, it was on purpose. Not like I intended,
Okay.
Wait,
but
do you just go to class and see like if there's like 5 people, you just dip, or do you prepare beforehand or what?
like for like
Yeah, like if you skip classes and go, do you go first and you check, or do you just go like do you plan beforehand?
um I'd either plan beforehand. I like if there was like a little bit people in class, I would I'd probably still go. Because if there's like little to nobody there, the professor would sometimes give extra credit, you know,
Oh,
because like
really?
there's
I mean,
you
regardless,
know,
you should
so
go to class, you know?
yes.
You should go to
So
class
I mean, you should
regardless.
go to class, bro. You should go to class. I'm not saying you should skip class, yo, but like if there is like you know a small amount of people, like that's a way to get extra credit, you know, sometimes. But like in general, I never really prioritize that. Like no scheduling. Like I'll just like get a call like, oh, there's a janaza today, and like, okay, I'm on my way. You know, like I'll just leave campus and then just head to cemetery. You know, like that's what I would do.
Would you recommend doing it that way, or like some people, or structure their day out? Because I know it's like up to the person, right? And I'm sure you're going with what works best. But I know some people who I see their like Google Calendar every hour. They have something blocked, and said no matter what, I gotta do these things. And I guess, do you think it's up to the person, or is it more like would you recommend a certain way to manage your time, especially for us youth, right?
I don't know. Like honestly, everybody is different, right? So like for me, because I mean we can choose our class schedules, right? So what I would do is like I definitely no 8 a.m. classes. That's like that's a big no-no. But then like in the afternoon, like towards the last year, I think last semester or year, yeah, but maybe about a year, I purposely like had like an open block from like 1 until like maybe 3 or 4, just in case if like an emergency like came up, like because at that time like within the last 2 years I was really involved with the cemetery and janazas. So then I would like I would change my class schedule so I wouldn't have classes between like 1 and 4, so I could like get to the cemetery if needed. um but like certain times where I know like if something happens I could try my best, so like I would make my class schedule accordingly. But like I said, everybody is like different in their own like scheduling, you know. I mean, it's really up to you like how good you are with your overall time management. Is it something that like you're good with, or is it something that you lack in? Like if you lack in time management, you can't just all of a sudden like change overnight. Like, okay, now I'm going to be able to do this and at this exact time, and like it doesn't work like that, you know. You got to see like what works best for you. And sometimes I'll just like go with the flow. I'll just be like, okay, if I do this, like like honestly, I would schedule things around prayer times. You know,
I see.
like I'll be there around Dhuhr, or you know, maybe after Asr. You know, oh yeah, around Maghrib time. Yeah,
I feel,
yeah.
I feel
Like
like
yeah,
I feel like we divide our days up in between intervals of Salah, right? Between
yeah.
Dhuhr Asr, I'll do this, do that. That's interesting, man. That's interesting. And you keep saying like you're involved in cemeteries and janazah, right?
Yeah.
What do you spend your time most doing? You said you're always involved there, right? What's the majority of your time there?
In the beginning, it was just like preparing the graves, like going inside and like actually like fixing the inside of the grave, and then after that, it kind of went to like kind of taking care of the overall landscape, and then after that, I started to become involved to like do the ghusls as well, the washings,
Mm.
and then And then it went to, putting, the dirt. It's like, the dirt on top and everything. Before we were doing everything by hand. And then now we have alhamdulillah, last year we purchased a machine for our cemetery. So now like I'm the machine operator. So yeah.
That's it. I feel like people have this misconception. If you're active in the masjid, you have to be like a hafiz, or you have to be really good at reciting Quran or presenting. But I feel like just being involved in the masjid, right? It could be just cleaning up the place, just like cleaning the washroom, right? I feel like people don't really understand that much, right? Abdul, do you have anything to say?
I mean, like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What do you think though?
Yeah, I think like even though like the like smallest things in the masjid, like you can like just read Quran. You don't have to like it's like small things, pray, there's sunnahs,
Yeah, there's a saying.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Akmal. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just want to pop in. There's this saying. I think if you help build one brick in a masjid, that's equivalent to like an entire mansion up in Jannah, right? So I feel like every small thing is like a big difference. Yeah, what were you gonna say? Go ahead.
Yeah. So, back to janaza. You talked about someone got shot. How was your experience in that? Like, were you like scared? How was that atmosphere around you? Because I never experienced that before.
Well, that person, may Allah have mercy on him, was 17 years old. It was last Saturday, no, about 2 Saturdays ago, so about 2 weeks ago. And we did his, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. So yeah, about 2 weeks. So just to kind of break down his story, from my understanding, from what I collected from the family and overall friends, he was bipolar, I guess, and he called the police for help, to like help him, and they didn't answer, from my understanding. And then the next day he called, with threats, and then the police came to the house, and altercation broke out, and then shots were fired. I was actually out of town when that happened, and I was coming back into town. And I get a call from one brother saying that, I got a call from somebody that, my son died, and police, shot him. And I was like kind of freaking out. Like I didn't know what was going on. I kept calling the mother. I tried calling people. No one's answering. So I got back into town around midnight. I went to go pick up that brother, and we went straight to the house. And the police had it locked up, so we weren't able to like get in like to the house, just trying to see what we could do as a masjid, as your brother, in the community, what we could do. And it was pretty bad. I mean, I didn't do the ghusl for that brother, because I honestly, I don't know if I could even handle it, because I've never done a ghusl for somebody younger than me. And I don't know if I could like handle that, and how the passing occurred. I don't know if I could handle that either. But it was definitely, he was probably one of the youngest I've ever, buried. I've buried people around his age, buried fetuses, little babies, people older, but that was a little bit different than usual. It was a little bit difficult, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a scary thing, because like I'm actually around his age. I'm also turning 17, so I think that's the really scary thing to happen.
Yeah, and did you talk to his family? Did you meet more people who were affected, or how did it go?
Yeah, I met the family. I met some of like the family friends. I knew some of the family friends before, and I just didn't know that they all knew each other. So the next day, the following Sunday, me and one brother, after the Dhuhr prayer, we went out to his house, just to like consolidate with them. Like I just wanted to let them know of the overall process of janaza, and understand that there's going to be a delay in the janaza because of how the death occurred. So I just want to let them know, usually, of course, the sunnah is to do it as soon as possible and before, Maghrib time. But because of the circumstances, it wasn't possible to do it the next day. I tried my best, but alhamdulillah, we were able to do the janazah prayer on a Friday. So it gathered, more people in the masjid.
Yeah, was that like a moment, like a moment of weakness for you or something, like a moment of like self-reflection? Or because I feel like in your position with all of these experiences, right? I feel like you have time to grow and I guess work on yourself. Was this like a moment where you like look at yourself and you're like, yo, because you said you don't know if it was if you could handle doing ghusl for someone younger than you, right? Was that like a moment of growth for you, or what are your next steps, I guess, after that?
Well, I mean, ever since becoming part of the cemetery, doing the janazas, that became my eye. It opened my eyes to like really understand that death is upon us. How becoming closer to your deen, strengthening your iman. But at that point, with that 17-year-old, it was something that like we got to do something for those that are suffering from mental illness. So like I and then like I think it was later that day, once I got home, I received an email about a Muslim conference for mental illness in Texas, in Houston. So because of that conference, I'm thinking about like going out there to Houston to learn about mental illness for the Muslim community, because it's something that we got to focus on. Because it's kind of like when we were at Muktamar, I met an imam that focuses on this.
Yeah.
So like I want to bring him here and like have him do a talk, to like empower the community, bring them together, and understand there's always going to be ongoing issues, and we're not like, the community is here to help each other, build each other, strengthen each other, not to like separate. That's not what a community is meant to be.
And you said you met like other speakers from the Muqtamar, right? What did you like learn a lot more things from them, or what exactly did you learn, man?
Oh, what didn't I learn? Like there was so much going on. Like
Yeah.
there was so much going on, and there was some really good talks, and they were all like, some of them were like at the same time, right? So that made it a little bit difficult. I went to the talk about what was it about? I don't remember, but it was with Dr. Imam Jihad Safir. He's the imam and principal at Isla Academy in Compton, California. And for those that don't know, Compton is it's known as a dangerous place in LA, and it's a pretty rough neighborhood. I've been on Compton. I know, I've done business on Compton, so I know it's not the safest area. But subhanAllah, he's been able to build a masjid there, build an Islamic school that's thriving. It's well known. Isla Academy, Isla LA is well known, within the US for all the work that he's done. So just talking to him, he got me thinking. He was just we were talking to each other, and I told him, Imam, you came to my masjid about 10 years ago. Do you want to come back? Just kind of having a fun conversation with him. And I told him, we always got ongoing issues, but would you do you have any suggestions for my community, like what I could bring back? Because I told him we didn't have an imam, and we're still working on that, inshallah. But I told him that, you came here about 10 years ago, and up until now, we still don't have any imam. It was like, man, you guys still don't have any imam? And we started talking, and I told him, I'm on the board of director, like, khatib, janazah, all that. And he's like, mashallah, and he was like straight up. He was all like, you're young. Masjids nowadays, they need a homegrown imam. They don't need somebody from overseas. They need somebody that's local to their community, somebody that the community knows. And he was like straight up with me. He's like, honestly, why don't you become the imam of your community? And I was like, I don't know about that. That's like a whole different set of responsibilities on top of that, and schooling. And at first I was like, I don't know about that. But then he got me thinking. It's like, why not? Like, and then I started looking into all the institutes, like, just to get some information about, like, becoming like a homegrown imam, but eventually we'll see.
Inshallah.
That. But
We'll see. I feel like we have a lot of youth in this call right now, right? So I feel like key takeaway right now. Let's say, I don't know, if you were on your phone watching TikTok, not paying attention, stuff or something, but like the key takeaway, like right now, what we were saying, like part of you guys are a part of your community right now. Like wherever you are, I know people from around the world watching here, in this, like literally from around the world, New Zealand here, right? Whatever community you're a part of right now, like just take a stand and just get active in your own community, right? People need people like you. Like I don't think you understand how scarce it is to find Indo-Muslims like us. And I'm sure they're like they can't do this for too long, right? There's got to be a next generation.
Yeah, we got to step up.
We got to step up. And inshallah, me and Abdul Rashid in our community, we're taking a step up right now, being the hosts, and all the other youth in your communities, man. Like they step up. People. I guarantee you, everybody in your community will be so grateful that you took a stand. And just support your community, man. No, yeah, but that's actually interesting for me, and I feel like youth don't realize how much time they really like, how short life is, right? They probably think that, oh, I'll just start later on or whatever. But I feel like there's really not much time, especially in like that dangerous neighborhood, right? As you said, did you have that realization too, that like, yo, time's ticking, time's running out? Did you have that like thought?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, like you start thinking about the time that you've wasted, because like there's a hadith where it says like take advantage of 5 before 5, and one of those 5 is take advantage of your time before you're preoccupied. So like that time is like when you're young, for example, or when you're not married, because let's say when you get married, you're not going to have that much free time to like go back and like read Quran, become a hafiz like Abdul Rashid, or like or just get the time, like if you have like, let's say you have free time and you spent that time sleeping rather than educating yourself or going out and just like watering a plant, for example, something like that. You wasted your time for no reason at all. So like that's why I think about it. Like I look back at times, I'm like, wow, I really did waste time, and there was like no actual reason for it. So like when we're young, like we have all the time and we have the energy, so that's something we got to remember. Like if we have the time, like why not just go ahead and do it? It's worth it.
Yeah.
You may not see the results right now, but later, like the results is like, wow.
You said it's worth it. Did you see any benefits so far, or what? Anything that you glad, like you're glad that you became active? Is there anything in particular, or like when you joined, like you're like, wow, I'm glad I joined,
Well, of course, like in the beginning, I was all like, why? Like honestly, I've actually had more gray hair. I can't really see it. But
no, I
I've
don't
had
see
more
any
gray hair.
We can't see it, man. You can't see it.
What are you talking about?
No, you can't see it right now. Yeah, no, you can't really see it. But yeah, right there, you see? Yep, right here.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I think that's a reflection or something.
Luscious hair, man.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, I've always had those thoughts, like, why? Why? But when I question, like, I have to think about it. If I question it, that's like I'm questioning the work of Allah. So if I question it, that's like shaitan, like whispering, and I just got to remember, like I told your father when we met at Muktamar, I went from a kid literally running around the masjid to now running the masjid. Like this is something I never ever thought about. And subhanAllah, just last night, I ran into like one of my old friends is back in town, and subhanAllah, we went to the school together at the masjid, and we were always playing in the musalla, and we walked up to the minbar when we were younger. We're like, we're going to give khutbah one day, right? And I told him that same story. And I was like, we said that, and subhanAllah, I'm the one that was able to actually fulfill that talk, that we're going to, one of us is going to give khutbah one day.
I feel like
and actually, another thing is like the room I'm in now. Oh, did I freeze?
you're frozen right now. Yeah, you're good.
I think, did I freeze?
Yeah, you freeze for a second there. You're good.
No, you're good now.
Okay. I don't know why. The internet is good. I don't know why it keeps doing that.
It's fine.
So you know, you mentioned
My
like you.
thing is like, um, dang it.
No worries, it's
Let me
fine.
check
Hey,
my.
look, we're
It's
all
fine.
around the world. You're
Yeah,
I
across the
know.
globe. There's people in New
Or
Yeah,
Zealand.
but
maybe in
There's people,
Canadian Wi-Fi is better. Who knows?
yeah. You got Rogers Bell. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Like we just upgraded the Wi-Fi like
It's
a
fine.
month ago, and all of this,
I think
I
it's
know,
because
man.
I think it's 'cause we're hosting it or something. I don't know. Maybe that's why.
I never
I
upgraded
don't
my
know
Wi-Fi
about
since a
that.
year.
I'll
I'm good.
check. No, we just literally upgraded the Wi-Fi here at the masjid, and it should be
Oh,
good.
you're at the
Like,
masjid right now.
Oh, you're at the mission?
yeah, I'm at the masjid. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
because I needed a white wall for it to background. You know, like everywhere else I go, I don't have a. Right.
Hmm. What were you saying, Gohan?
Hey, go
I
ahead.
think you're good. I lied to you. You're frozen again.
Like, okay. So like one thing is uh like the classroom I'm right now is when the Islamic school is here. And like it's just like, man, I went from like being in the classroom in this room to now like, you know, running the masjid
Hmm.
and like just making it like a new study room for the youth.
Hmm.
So how do you motivate other youths to become like you, you know? How do you become
Um,
like exactly?
just show up, honestly. I think that's
Show
really
up,
the way. Just show up, you know, like
but you
just
don't.
just show up, take initiative, you know, like, you know, kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit. I mean, sometimes I still stay within my comfort zone,
Mm.
but like just show up and then just ask, is there anything that I could help with, you know?
I feel I'm not even gonna lie. Like I'm a straight up introvert, and just being a host of this
Yeah,
is
same.
so out of my comfort zone. I'm not gonna lie, but I feel, you know what? My dad just told me, he's like, "Yo, you want to be the host or something?" I was like, "All right."
All right.
I feel like just do it. Like who can just say all right, and
Everything will
it'll
be
just
all
happen.
right.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I feel like for everybody out there, just go. Just honestly, just go to the masjid. You don't have to do anything. Just stand there. Honestly, keep standing there to the point where people recognize you. You know, it might be easier for Bang Zaki here with his big head of
Yeah,
hair,
mashallah.
but
Uh,
still, like I feel like just get that reputation out there. Yeah, and I remember you said earlier you were like, oh, why did I do this? I feel like people have this idea that when you're involved and active, it's all gonna be butterflies and rainbows, right? But I feel like you said there were moments, there's struggle, right? And I feel like struggle is a part of the journey. Would you agree? Or what would you say?
Well, yeah, without a doubt, you know, you're
Yeah.
gonna have tests in life, you know, like that's part of that's a test in life, you know, like
Mm.
okay. Without a doubt, you're always going to be tested, you know, people going to test you, you know, like they're gonna have an attitude with you. So like that's always gonna
How do you
happen.
work on that patience? I'm sure there's people that you had to deal with, man. I'm sure you had to deal with a lot of people, man. But like how?
Yeah.
Do you
Um
like just sit down and just astaghfirullah,
yeah, share with us,
astaghfirullah?
share with us.
I try. It just depends on the situation, you
Mm,
know. Like so somebody like yesterday we had a problem. Uh
mm,
I had the because we have a small parking lot here
mm.
because we're by the university. So
Oh, it's always the
I had
parking lots.
somebody,
Oh,
yeah, always the parking
All
lot.
right.
always the parking lots.
I blocked. I had the other young board of director block the parking lot, so that we could, you know, because we had a janaza yesterday, right? And I had him block it so then I can bring the janaza into the parking lot with the vehicle. And I couldn't get in because there was two cars blocking, right? So one car he got a ticket because he's parked in the driveway. It's a safety thing. And then another car, she's parked right behind him. And then I come back, and she's like, you know, brother, why'd you close the gate? You know, you're blocking people from coming in. It's like, sister, we have a janaza. I said it like multiple times. We have a
Mm.
janaza. And then she said, well, where's the janaza? I'm like, it's right here. I just drove the janaza right now. It's right here. It's right behind me.
Uh,
And then she stopped talking. You know, like it's serious. It's like serious situations where people are like literally trying to like, you know, test you with and drop some attitude. Like it doesn't work like that, And when people do that, it's like, okay, this is a test. This is simply a test. There's no reason like to go off on them. Sometimes that's like what we really want to do. But like, is it really worth it? Sometimes, So you just got to be like, depending on the situation, you got to just quickly assess it. Do I go off on them, or do I kind of work like kind of break down the situation? Just got to figure it out.
Yeah, so you said go off on someone. Have you ever went off on someone? Was there any moments where you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna let loose, or what?
Not yet.
Not yet. Oh,
Not yet.
So you think the fact that you think about it each time, and you're like, should I go off or should I not? And you still kept your patience, man. I think you're on a good.
Oh well, you ain't. No, you're actually.
Oh.
Actually.
Oh.
I went off on some kids.
Okay, they're kids.
I went off on
kids.
Yeah, but like,
okay,
they were old enough.
There's actually this one story when I was volunteering at a masjid. Me and my boys, some man comes in with like a shirt and underwear coming into masjid, just wearing underwear during Jum'ah. He walks in, right? He's like, "Assalamu alaikum, brother. Can I do wudu?" And then we're just looking at him like what? Like he's in underwear, And then we just tell him to like maybe like go back, get some pants. Like, no, it's allowed. I can pray like this. And then obviously I didn't go off, my friends went off. My friends are like that. He didn't listen. We had to bring the imam into the picture, and then but it took a long time, it's really tough. But tell you the experience of the kids.
Yeah, what happened with the kids?
So with the kids, we had guests that were traveling from another like city. Like they brought their youth group to come visit us. So they were sleeping overnight in the masjid, and our kids, they stayed also, and they were staying up, making noises, jumping up and down in the lobby. We have security cameras all over the place. So wherever the camera is, they were like walking up to the camera, putting their face close to it. And I was all like, you guys got to stop. There's people trying to sleep, we're in here, we were doing some work in the office, even though it's like 1 a.m. We were like coming up with new projects, and they're just, going like playing around, and they kept running back and forth on the camera, and they were trying to open the door. I just like opened the door and just like, and the kid's trying to act all nice, trying to put his hand on. I was like, yes.
This guy tried to gaslight you.
Yeah, I was about to flame the kid, what I'm saying? But like the kids would not pay attention. Like they wouldn't stop. They're jumping all over the place. I told them, you guys gotta stop. Everything's recorded. If I gotta call your parents right now, I'll do it. Like I don't care. And one of the kids, he walked away with his head down all the way to the other side.
No, did you regret it, or would you say that was justified? Like, I feel like, did you think you went off too much, or what?
I mean,
I was walking down with their head down. Do you feel that?
I mean, like, I'm not a mean person, honestly, but I was serious at that moment. But then, like, as soon as I went back in the office, I was laughing because, like, I was like, I'm not that type of person to go off, But like, I mean, they needed discipline. Like the parents were there. Like we were the oldest ones we're still in charge of the masjid. So like, I mean, somebody got to teach them. I don't know. That's all I gotta say. Somebody had to.
Yeah, have you seen them back? Have you seen them again after that incident, or was this yesterday? You said no.
Yeah.
That was.
No, this was like a couple months ago.
That was a couple of while ago, yeah. So
the one with the lady with the car, that was yesterday.
That was yesterday, yeah. So you saw them again. Did they act differently? Were they scared of you, or what?
One kid, I think he really kept his distance.
Really? Are you gonna approach him and apologize, or are you just gonna let him go, let him learn on his own?
I'm gonna teach him another lesson. If it's not me, it's gonna be somebody else gonna teach him.
I mean, I feel like
he's a menace.
Like, but like when we were kids, I feel like we would do the same, fool around in the masjid. As you said,
that's your motto. This literally said running around in the masjid.
You just said you were running around the masjid.
I was running. because to catch the ball, not
Okay,
to
running to
I don't know
running
about
to running
that.
to Jumatan, right? Running to Jumatan. You gotta
yeah,
make
not
it on time.
like running around, because like we're playing, like throwing the ball, to each other, not like jumping up and down and where the cameras are and trying to make like loud noises when there's people trying to like sleep. I didn't do like that. I was only running around here because the school was here, for recess. So like,
You said people were sleeping in the masjid, right? Was it during Ramadan, Iktikaf,
no, it was just they did like a weekend. They spent the weekend here in Tucson. So they brought their youth from two different masjids. Yeah, they brought their youth group down here to like spend the weekend.
So they just bring like sleeping bags and slept in the masjid and knocked out or something like that? I see.
I feel like I just want to backtrack on the idea of struggle that we were talking before, right? I feel like as us youth, a lot of people, I remember my dad was talking to me. He was, I think he had a friend and he was like, oh, I don't like spoiled kids in the West. They don't know what struggle is like. And I feel like I kind of relate to his idea. Like some people are so spoiled, like they think they're living in, this is the good life. Like, subhanallah, like we're living in the West here with a roof over our heads. We don't have to worry about food. And I feel like I think there's this saying, there was this quote where it was like, you say you're afraid of death, but the life you lead, is that any different than being dead, right? So I feel like if you just live your life in comfort, right, and you're just sitting there watching TikTok, I'm not gonna lie, I'm guilty. I'd be playing Valorant, I'd be playing video games a little too much, but I feel like if you want to do something with your life, right, I feel like you have to really go out there and do something significant. And I feel like for you, Bang Zaki, that has this notion kind of attracted you to keep going forward? Do you have like a drive or whatever? Like I'm sure like you get tired at times, right? But you get up every morning and keep doing what you do. What's that motivation though?
I don't know, honestly.
You don't know?
I don't know. Just I really don't know, honestly, where the motivation came from, because it's not something I ever planned, right?
So it's not something you cultivated. It's within you. Yeah, you just go.
Yeah, I just go with the flow.
Wow.
Just,
that's impressive.
actually, sometimes you can try and plan something out, but it just doesn't work out. So sometimes I'll just go with the flow, depending on the situation. Whatever day it is, just go with the flow. Just see what happens.
Oh, because honestly, with your repertoire, with your experience, I thought there would be like, I don't know, like there's, because every single, you're that, because every time we do meetings and we meet beforehand and we do something, you're always busy. So I was kind of like, there's sometimes, is this guy ever lazy or what? Have you ever?
Oh no, yeah, trust me, I'm lazy, bro.
Oh, really?
Trust me,
you can't be lazy with that. You can't be lazy
when it comes to like when it comes to stuff to do at home. I am super lazy, bro. Honestly, like.
Nah, you're just being humble, man. You just being humble. Come on. No, because I feel like.
Sorry, it's the type of guy to wake up for Fajr and like take like 30 minutes to wake up, or because I take a long time, man. My mom.
Yeah, I am sometimes. I am one of those people. It take a while. Like I'll turn my alarm clock on like an hour earlier before Fajr, just to like kind of wake.
That doesn't work for me though.
Like it doesn't work sometimes.
That's risky, man.
Sometimes I'll be going. It is risky. It is really risky. And sometimes I go to sleep late. I don't even know why.
I'm not gonna lie.
If I slept early, I might be.
I snoozed once and I woke up an hour later for one of my classes, and I think I realized to myself, I'm never doing that again. I can't do that. The snooze button will be the end of me though. I'm not even gonna lie. All right, I feel like let's move on to another topic. Yeah, I think we've been on a tangent here for too long. I feel like as a youth in the West here, right? I feel like we live a Indo youth in the West. I feel like we live a different life than most people, or a unique way. Because we're like we're Asian and we're Muslim or whatever, and people, I guess that kind of I guess breaks down the stereotype. So I feel like through your experiences, especially being the face of an organization, right? Is there anything that you could, like, any advice or preparation you could give us as youth here living in the West, for any, I don't know, I don't want to say dangers, but uh, I don't know, inconveniences, I guess, out there in the real world? Is there anything we could do?
Um, that's the question, honestly. I would say maybe just don't be afraid. Like, sometimes people are gonna have you like question yourself. Like, there's no reason to question yourself and like whatever like the worldly situation is, right? Like, people in this video, like, they're literally meant to like bring you down, pull you away from the deen, to lower iman, right? So like, just I don't know, just having tawakkul, honestly, is probably the best way. Remembering that there are good people around and surrounding yourself with good people is like one of the best things you could do. Because like, if you're around people that only do bad, they do bad because influenced by them. But if you're around people that do good, you're going to do good because they influenced you to do good. That's why it's real good to surround yourself with good people. You want people that are going to remind you that it's time to pray, because they're worried for your akhirah, obviously, because they're reminding you it's time to pray. And if you have people that are not that are telling you that you can pray later, they're not worried about your akhirah, and they're obviously not worried about their akhirah either. So if they're not worried about themselves, why would they be worried about you? So that's what we got to remember, is like surrounding yourselves with good people, people that have intention, because that is like literally country. If we were in Indonesia, it'd probably be a little bit different because we're surrounded by Muslims practically 24/7. When you go to university, surrounded Muslims, I mean, not all the time. For example, like in a lot of my classes, I was out to myself. It didn't really matter. But still, though, like, you still want
I think you're
to
cutting out
be
here for a bit.
with a good crowd, people that's going to remind you to do good and not.
Could you repeat like the past like minute one more time, because I think you were cutting off, or like 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
I don't know what is wrong with
No, it's fine.
just I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with
TLDR, right?
I don't know what's wrong with my internet. Just surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
Because if you surround yourself with good people, they're going to remind you to do good, and they're worried about their akhirah and your akhirah. If you surround yourself with bad people, they won't care about what's going on in their life. Like, if they don't remind you that it's time to pray, and then they don't care about their akhirah, and they obviously don't care about yours. So if you surround yourself with good people, those are the people you might see in Jannah, inshallah, because they remind you.
Yeah, I know there's this saying, there's like, you become the product of the people you're around with. A lot of people say that. That's why I try to, for some reason, a lot of people, they want to be the best out of a group, right? But I feel like if you feel like you're the worst out of a group, that's a really good sign. If you feel like all your friends are smarter than you, more motivated than you, they're more soleh than you, I feel like you shouldn't look that in a negative manner. I feel like you're lucky to be in that position, right? And you can learn from your friends. And I feel like people, especially youth, everybody just wants to be cool, right? They want to be around the cool guys. They wanna make sure, they want to tell people, hey, oh, by the way, I play basketball, or I don't know, I act cool, or something. But I feel like if you constantly put yourself at the top, right, and you think that you're the better than everybody, then you won't learn from the people you're around with, right? Would you say, like, was there like do you have that circle of people that you depend on?
Yeah, we I do have a circle where that we're always together. We going to the masjid together, just seeing Well, actually, this is how we really met, just being at the masjid,
Really?
honestly. And yeah, and then also at the cemetery as well. Like in the beginning, it wasn't that many young people, but because of one janaza, it caused a lot of young people to start coming. And they saw me as well. So then they saw a young person there. So they started coming more often as
See,
well
guys,
to help
did you guys
out
hear
and
that?
volunteer.
Everybody in the call, did you guys just hear that? He said because he saw him in the masjid, they started to come in. So if you are in a position where you're like, nobody goes to my masjid, nobody in my age goes to the masjid, why would I go there? Why don't you become the first person to go, right? If you become that first person and people regularly see you at the masjid, and you know as yourself, you're like, nobody goes there, but I'm just gonna keep showing up. Just like Bang Zaki here said, if you're the first person to go, other youth will come, and ultimately, like your first complaint, original complaint, why nobody goes, that will change because you took a stand and you went there first. So I guess instead of complaining, dua is good, right? Pray, please. Where's the youth in the masjid? I feel like you gotta have some action, right? And if you want to see more youth in your community, then you should be the one to inspire others to come join. So I feel like we went. I don't know how, but it's already 9 o'clock. It's already been 1 hour. I feel like we were talking. We were too in depth, man. Honestly, like I felt like time flies fast. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. So I feel like right now, do you have anything else to say before we head into Q&A, Bang Zaki or Abdul Rashid, or what?
I think we're good.
You're good, yeah.
We're good.
Okay. That was a very good conversation. Honestly, that was much needed. I'm not gonna lie. So I feel like right now we are gonna get into the Q&A. So if you have a question, raise your hand up or type something in the chat, and we'll go by first person to ask. We'll by first come first serve basis. So any questions, please send them over. I think it's like 30-minute time max for Q&A, probably shorter, probably longer, depends on how much we have. I'm getting the messages right now. I see one right here. So okay, the thing is, so the way this Q&A works, I'm the IICT, the Ibu blah, 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 they send me messages from the ICT because that way I can't read your message. They send me from there, so I don't know who's asking, right? So this is gonna be an anonymous kind of Q&A if you didn't know. But I have a question here. It says, how do you motivate other youths to become like you? Specifically to Bang Zaki.
I think first everybody has like a niche, they have a special area that they can like help in. One thing is for sure just showing up to the masjid, just asking, is there any like thing that you need help with? If you specialize in a certain area, for example, offer that help in that certain area. Like if you do graphic design, for example, I do graphic design. Is there any graphic design work that you need help with, or web designing, if you need any like artistic work done, just as an example. So if you specialize in a certain area and you feel like you can offer your services to the masjid, just ask the masjid, ask them like, do you need any help? Like just let me know, just like if there's any help that I can like offer, please let me know. Like just show up pretty much. Ask around, get to know your community, get to know, the brothers and sisters, get to know the Bapa Bapa and the Ibu Ibu, just get to know them and just show up at the masjid early.
Another question is, I was wondering, how was your mom like react when knowing you have to handle the shooting scene? Like moms are like overreacting, they talk too much when they react. They go all over the place.
This sounds personal a little bit.
It's facts, but like how was she reacting?
Well, first of all, it was kind of because I got into town late. And she was like, "Oh, you got home late, huh? What time did you get home?" And then I'm like half asleep, right? And I tell her, "Look, somebody died last night. I had to go to their house. The 17-year-old was shot. I was asleep. I'm sleeping and I'm talking. And she's like, oh, what? She's like, what's going on? And then I went back to sleep. So I mean, yeah, she freaked out.
She's probably just worried, right? Come on, I mean, like every mother.
Yeah. She was like, then why'd you go? Because I was called. I don't know what I can do. I can't go I can't just go pick up the janazah like that. I can't. But I went there because it's a duty of the masjid to show up, and I was still up at that time. I know everybody else was asleep. So I mean, it's happened before. Like I got a call in the middle of the night and I left and I went across town.
What? This guy's an emergency responder.
Yeah.
This guy's a doctor on call on roll. That's actually crazy. That's impressive though. No, okay. I have another question here. It says, what can a masjid do to attract the youth?
What can the masjid do? One, they need to have a young person that can talk to them. You want somebody that's like maybe close or similar age that can talk to the youth, with their lingo, be one with the boys, what I'm saying? Like just just like,
and the girls, that's all I have to.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
What I've noticed when I travel to one masjid that I'm working with in another city is they have a youth room. I think it's standard now for every masjid to have a youth room. That was one thing that's going to attract the youth to come back. And in my old classroom in Al Huda, the room I'm in right now, so it's going to be a study room. It's going to be a youth room as well. So I think it's standard to have a youth room, study room, because we're by the university. So we want to have a room that can be dedicated for the students, to come socialize, study, that type of thing. They need to have programs catered for the youth. They need to have activities. I mean, not just like playing, I mean, like maybe like a soccer club, for example. That's another good way to attract them. Sometimes attracting the youth is through your actions. Like sometimes kids, it's unfortunate, but some kids, they don't really want to focus on deen all the time. You have to like kind of offset it, deen and activities, like having fun, between the two. So if you do like every other deen activity, that's one thing to attract them. Because if you ever do events, like if it's an activity event, a bunch of people will show up. But then when it's a deen event, like you won't have that many people show up. So like just starting like small programs to bring the youth, like a youth program, like you're going to like do it like a deen activity, and then like a movie night, for example, kind of switch it off, balance between the two. I think that's one way a masjid could like bring the youth, and then have somebody dedicated, like a youth director that's young and can understand the differences between the young and the old, because I understand, like we face this problem, that it's a lot of, it's unfortunate, but you always have people that think of the old ways from like 20-30 years ago. They said, well, this is what we used to do 30 years ago, this is what we used to do back home. But it's different. The day that this age that we live in is completely different from just 10 years ago. So we got to be up to date, with everything, the understandings, the lingo, the technology, everything. We just got to be up to date with what's going on to attract the youth, to keep the youth, in the masjid.
Have you tried like a combination of deen and activity type of things, or would you recommend to just separate them and I guess do it, what's that word, back and forth, alternating? Have you tried that at all, or what are your thoughts?
I haven't tried it yet, but that's what I've seen from like other youth groups, other masjids. They like to mix it, deen activity or every other, I think in my opinion, that's probably one of the best ways to like attract the youth. Like is sometimes with how technology is difficult to keep the youth engaged, but this is something that we have to take charge now, because the youth are the ones that will be the leaders one day. Because actually, subhanAllah, when I did my very first khutbah, it was about youth. And towards the end, I was like, we always say that the youth is going to be like the future engineers, lawyers, this and that, scientists, doctors, which is fine. But we always have to remember that it was, I've never heard it before, so I just said it. The future.
No, you're lagging. The most important part. Wait, pause.
Will be.
Wait, say it one more time. As soon as you're about to hype it up to that final line, it just lagged. One more time.
Okay, so the youth, the future, our future leaders, the youth. Well, we always say like the youth are going to be our future doctors, lawyers, scientists, engineers, and all that, which is fine. But we never say that they aren't. We never said that our future leaders, our future, are going to be our future imams. They're going to be our future hafizes, khatibs, we never. So that's something that the hafizes as well in our community.
I see.
Another question. I asked my friend from Woodstock, his name Danny. He's asking, with how busy you are, have you ever struggled finding a balance in life? Any advice on to maintain that balance, like less stress?
What I've learned in the past is like it's okay to ask for help. Have people that are going to help you out, to take the load off you. Like that's what I noticed, because like this week alone, dealing with like 4 different janazas, and like I put all my work, I put my work to the side, and just today I was barely catching up with some of my work. So then tomorrow, Monday, is more work that I have to take care of that I put aside because
Monday,
of like
tomorrow?
my MASJID duties. Tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like in that, just ask for help, so you don't put all that stress on yourself.
Yeah, always ask for help. Always.
I'm monitoring the chat. I don't see any new things coming in. I'll wait for a bit. Yeah, you could also raise your hand, guys, if you have any questions, you want to talk and speak. I'll give a 5 seconds, 10 seconds. I'm not gonna say it out loud because that's just weird. I'll just count in my head. I see a question here. I learned from the talk show that you are very busy because you're taking care of the janazah. What is the youth program in the mosque that the youth really love? Or if you've seen from other masjids or anywhere that had really good feedback.
One thing, I think one thing here is like, I gotta like shout out my local MSA. Like they got it on lock, because we're so close to the university. The MSA takes a real important role in gathering the youth. Because of them, alhamdulillah, they were able to like hold like a bi-weekly khatira or halaqa with a PhD candidate student, and they were able to start bringing some students back to the masjid, college students. And that's why right now, like we're planning during Ramadan to maybe start a youth program or start coming up with like ideas like this is a talk show, right? So we're actually thinking about starting our own podcast to like empower the youth, especially like our local youth, and like do weekly like reminders. So yeah, just I think it all starts with just a group of people that are youth driven. They want to do something for their community. That's like the best way to really empower and bring the youth to the masjid.
I think I have a question of my own, and I think this just goes general. I feel let's stem away from the youth a little bit and more into Islam just for my question. I was curious from your point of view, what do you cherish about Islam the most? What about Islam do you cherish the most?
Ooh, man, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Cherished most, I think, just understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you when you don't love yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most watching, the most loving, most compassionate, the 99 names, pretty much, like that's something that we all, memorized when we were younger, like, and then just remembering, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, having, full tawakkul, that's very important, and, most forgiving, because like, like in our youth, there are things that like we said or we didn't do, and we're like, just whatever, but then when you start to like learn, read, and understand more, you took it for granted. But now when you learn more, you got older, you're like, wow, that was like so bad of me to do that. You start to break down, your past, and like start to try to understand it, like why, why this, why that.
Yeah. They say if you cringe at your past, if you don't cringe at your past self, then you never really grew, right? So I feel like right now, if you cringe at your past self a year ago, you're on the right track. You should be always cringing at your past self. You always be embarrassed who you were a year ago, because if you're not embarrassed, then you're not really growing, right? So yeah, I think that's just interesting to say. Appreciate that. Appreciate real talk. I'm just waiting for more questions here.
I was gonna say, Akmal, you have a lot of sayings.
Yeah, no, I feel like
a lot of sayings.
A lot of saying. I swear I don't have it written down. I swear, you know what I mean?
I think we're talking to a future imam right now. Right? That's what we're hearing right now.
I like to keep things in my head. That's how I get myself. I don't know, man. I just like to.
Yeah.
That's how I motivate myself. I just remember things.
Okay, there's another question. What is your biggest dream you have, Abang Zaki?
Biggest dream?
Mm-hmm. I'm sure.
I don't know, honestly.
Where are you right now? Like, it's not your dream right now. Like, being the youngest leader in the masjid. That wasn't your dream, was it? Or was it your dream?
Never. It never was. Yeah.
I think Allah gives you the best path, right? Yeah. He knew this is your calling.
Yeah. I really don't know what my biggest dream was. I would say maybe a goal of mine to achieve right now is going maybe like learning how to properly give dawah. Like I think that's something that as young as we are, we're full of energy. Like why not? So like I'm actually working on like a prison program right now. So to go offer Jum'ah at the prisons and to offer like a study circle. So like, because I have limited time, but I have the energy, like, why not, because just because of that, you can have somebody, become, Muslim, take the how to come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That I would say that's a goal of mine that I'm working on right now. So inshallah, by the month of Ramadan, I'll be going and visiting the prisons and offering Jum'ah, offering dawah, and traveling across the state to talk to the brothers that are incarcerated.
To add on that, do you have any like Christian friends maybe, or like you give dawah to them, about Islam? Because I know that I have a lot of Christian friends in my school that they ask me questions about Islam. Like, do you have any experience with that?
A little bit. There was somebody I was doing that I still do business with, and he's a like Arab Catholic. So, there's a lot of kind of like little similarities because they speak Arabic, So yeah. I was able to like kind of talk to him, offer a little bit of dawah, and whenever I was at his shop, I was, I would, be listening to some Quran on my phone or reciting, and he'd just start asking questions, It wasn't like full on dawah. It was actually like indirect dawah because I I was just answering his questions, but I didn't think of it to be dawah, you know. So just I don't really have that many Christian friends, but like I might have customers sometimes that they'll ask, you know, these questions, and we'll try our best to just answer them, you know, to the best of our ability.
Wait, I have this funny story, like with my friend. He's Indian, and I think Indians have beef with like Pakistanis or something to this day. I don't know. That was like a historic thing. I don't know, but for some reason, my Indian friend, he has this idea of Muslims, and I'm his close friend, right? And I think I never really made it obvious that I was Muslim, and when I brought it up, the look on his face, he was like, "What? Wait, what? You're Muslim? Oh, you're one of the good ones." Like, oh, what do you think? What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean? So I had to educate him. I was like, nah, Islam is this, is that, you know, giving dawah like that. And he's like, I think right now where he's at, like after I just showed him like, hey, not all, you know, Muslims come in every color, like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like when he realized that, it was like, yo, whoa. And I think he has a whole different view on Muslims now. So I feel like I feel it's not good to live your life like you're representing someone at all times, but I feel like that's a reality we're in, right? I feel like, if I do something bad, it'll look bad for all of Islam. Oh, like, it's like no. I feel like, do you live like that? Do you get worried when you're like, oh, I got people I got to represent?
Sometimes, I mean, literally, we're like, you know, we're representatives of Islam. So like, as soon as we step outside the masjid, you know, we're a representative of Islam. You know, like that's something we gotta think about. You know, they're like he called the masjid and I called him back. He's like, I'm interested in taking my shahada, you know, because I was in the military, and one brother that was in the military with me, you know, he was very strict on his religion, and that's what really attracted me to it. So I spent like maybe 30 minutes. Me and two other brothers, we were talking to him. And he's like, you know, I want to go ahead and take my shahada. So I told him, let me have somebody with higher, you know, much more knowledge than me to talk to you if you have any questions or anything like that. So alhamdulillah, that brother, he actually took his shahada last Saturday. And then just a couple months ago, right after Jummah, we had a brother walk in. He was like, I want to take my shahada, you know. And I started asking him all the questions. You know, what led you to Islam? You know, like what's the purpose? You know, you like kind of basic questions. Do you have any? And then if he has any questions for me, and then I gave him his shahada. You know, he took his shahada right there on the spot. So like, right there, like I don't know if you guys ever had the opportunity, but if you ever have the opportunity to give somebody their shahada, it's like it's so beautiful. Oh, like I don't know how to explain. Like literally. I gave him a shahada, and then I went in the back to go get some more materials and a prayer rug for him. Like, bro, like I almost cried because like I was like, wow. I was like, wow, you know, because in the eyes of Allah, like when you take your shahada, you know, you're like blank. It's like you're born again. Like when you're born in this world, you're like you're a blank canvas, and then over the years, your canvas is painted with all sins, right? And when you take your shahada, like I wanted to cry honestly, because it was like, wow, this is something I would never think of to ever happen, honestly, and to, you know, give somebody their shahada.
I think that's why they call it a revert, right? Not a convert. They call it a revert because that's what you were originally. I think that's so profound, to be honest. I didn't really think about it at first. Oh, revert. Oh, is that? I thought it was convert. The revert, because it's, I don't know. I just had a whole epiphany right there. I was like, yeah, that's what I think. All these little things, they just like, wow, this is it. Islam is the truth. That's why I was like, oh, even there's little things like that. Thank you for that, bro.
Because when you make someone do shahada, you know, like everything he does, you get the good deeds for it. Like when he reads the Quran, you get the good deed for it. When he like talk politely, you get the good deed for it. When he walks to masjid, you get the good deed for it. Like I feel like it's really it's amazing, you know.
Yeah.
When you give someone shahada.
I have a question right here. It says, within your family, who do you think plays important roles to help you to be who you are today?
Um, Probably be my parents, like without a doubt, you know, because like I remember, you know, I mean, my dad was always working, so then it was my mom that was always teaching us, you know, like so. Yeah, I think it'd probably be my parents, like for sure. Like that, I don't think they'd ever thought that I'd ever be in this position. Also, like it was never planned.
Did they
So,
pressure you or none at all? They just let you go, and you were on your own.
no,
No.
yeah,
So this is all you're doing.
yeah.
Disrespectful.
Unfortunately, no, I'm just kidding.
Alhamdulillah, man. No.
No, I got pressured.
Really, I can
Yeah.
relate too, but it's not like a bad thing. Like I feel
Yeah.
like you need those role models in your life. I don't think I'd be who I am today without my parents, without people I meet, right? I mean, my dad's
Sure.
the literal president, so I gotta, yeah, I'm the son.
You
I
have
have
no
to,
choice.
Whoa.
I have to, do something, right? So, I feel like, yeah, I feel of course your family is like a big beneficiary, big influence to I guess what we do, right? Yeah. Yeah, we have only 5 minutes left, 7 minutes left for questions. So anybody in the chat, raise your hand up. Take any questions. Hold on. We'll give it like a 20 seconds. I'll count in my head.
Any chat.
My mom just
chat's
sent me.
open.
My mom just sent me a random message. It's not even like a question. It's like she just told me there's Ustad Falan from Indonesia. He will be visiting ICT in Ramadan. Say salam to him. Okay, I'll say salam to. I'll say salam.
My ICT?
Huh?
My ICT?
No, he's gonna be visiting here.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we have any more questions here. I think we're good. But I just wanted to say that because we're talking about our parents being influences, right? Yeah, I feel like because she knows, my mom knows I'm an introvert. I'm not gonna lie. She knows I just like right now when I talk, like this is out of my comfort zone. This is out of comfort zone. Am I turning red? No.
Yeah, she's hearing you right now, by the way.
I see my mom. I'm turning red. I see my mom at the top right now. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be who I am, and I wouldn't do things if it weren't for like my parents and my friends and all. So I feel like that's a big influence.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
My mom pressured me to read Quran, you know?
Yeah, you would. If she never did that, you wouldn't be a Hafiz, right?
No, I wouldn't be Hafiz.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Okay, time's running out, guys. Not gonna lie, time's running out. I'm sure. I mean, I know we talked a lot. An hour 30? Oh my god, I felt like 10 minutes.
wow.
That's an hour 30 went by, man. An hour 30 went by. All right. Okay, I think we'll end it off here. Big amazing talk. I think the first ever episode podcast, the first ever youth talk show. I think this is a success, honestly. And hopefully, for those of you who are here and people watching live, hello, we're recording. If you guys enjoyed this, let us know. Like any enthusiasms you have, or if you guys want more, let us know, and we'll make this like we'll make more installments of youth talk show if you guys are willing to come by again and watch, and hopefully more of you guys.
Inshallah, Abang Zaki, you can finish it with the dua, closing dua, conclusion.
Yeah.
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. اللهم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم إني أسألك والعافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم أسل أمتي محمد. اللهم فرج عن أمتي محمد. محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم بلغنا رمضان. اللهم بلغنا رمضان. اللهم بلغنا رمضان. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect and guide our youth. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect and guide our community. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to strengthen our community and to strengthen the bond within our community. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our youth the future leaders of tomorrow. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect and guide our family from any harm. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant protection upon all Muslims around the world. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy upon us all. Subhanakallah wa bihamdi wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you everybody for coming. And before you guys go, we do have Brother Zaki here. He's starting up a podcast soon in his masjid. So and he has a bunch of Instagrams. I think you're in the process of doing so, right? So we'll have like the Instagrams in the chat if you guys want to check that out, see the progress. You have a whole podcast room, right? So yeah, just check that out, progress. I think that's it. Thank you everybody for coming. Alhamdulillah, this is a success today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evenings or mornings if you're in Indonesia. So bye everybody. Thank you Bang Zaki.
Thank you Bang Zaki. Masya Allah. It's good. It's good.
Very nice.
Abang Zaki, next time we do it again, Abang Zaki?
Thank you.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Oh, Ustaz Fanta.
I will have I will
yeah.
talk to one of our other Indonesians to come and join, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yeah, there's Ustaz Fatan.
Oh.
Say something, Ustaz.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Say something. There's Zaki here, Abdul Rashid, Akma.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Welcome.